nephew's arms. Peter was no longer dumbstruck. He'd moved on to traumatized, nonplussed, gobsmacked. So he did what he always did. The world threatened to overwhelm him. He walked back to his study, opened his treasure. The world threatened to overwhelm him. But to
Jen, what's up?
I sent an email yesterday about releasing the other 3 lines.
Yeah, I forwarded it to Joe because I'm driving today, so I can't release it. But Castellino can release it. It's over a certain amount of money. He has to be able to release it.
Well, it's per line item, so.
Yeah, because of this PO.
Okay.
Because I used to be able to release stuff up to $5,000, and now when Chris left and Paul took over, he took me out of that loop, so I can't legally release anything.
Okay, yeah.
But to what degree was
All right? Too windy? No. I was saying, you should get car sick in this thing. It's a big open window.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window.
Look out the
on me is lugubriosity. He couldn't help but notice that the wheel
I said that. Did you?
Yeah.
It would kill me. Home was something. All right? Too windy? No. I was saying, you should get car sick in this thing. It's a big open window.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window.
Look out the
on me is lugubriosity. He couldn't help but notice that the wheels on the carriages passing by his
lubrosity.
No. He was talking about how all the mental illness.
So are we living
All right? Too windy? No. I was saying, you should get car sick in this thing. It's a big open window.
Yeah, I'm looking out the window.
Look out the
on me is lugubriosity. He couldn't help but notice that the wheels on the carriages passing by his
lubrosity.
No. He was talking about.
at least when viewed through the slats of his partially open shutters. Interesting. After much observation and careful thought, Peter concluded that his eye was retaining the image of the spokes a fraction of a second after the slats in the shutters interrupted the rotation of the wheel, thereby creating the illusion that the spokes themselves were moving backwards. That was more than interesting. That was intriguing, titillating, maybe even metamorphic. Call it what you will. Peter was definitely onto something. So, once again, he consulted his treasure house, considerably thicker than it was 2 years ago, and began to write a detailed analysis of what he'd just observed. He called it explanation of an optical deception in the appearance of the spokes of a wheel when seen, when viewed through the slats of his partially open shutters. Interesting. After much observation and careful thought, Peter concluded that his eye was retaining the image of the spokes a fraction of a second after the slats in the shutters interrupted the rotation of the wheel, thereby creating the illusion that the spokes themselves were moving backwards. That was more than interesting. That was intriguing, titillating, maybe even metamorphic. Call it what you will. Peter was definitely onto something. So, once again, he consulted his treasure house, considerably thicker than it was 2 years ago, and began to write a detailed analysis of what he'd just observed. He called it Explanation of an Optical Deception in the Appearance of the Spokes of a Wheel when Seen Through Vertical Apertures. Not exactly. Vessel carriages, a principle that led Peter to fabricate a prototype with a shutter similar to the shutter that hung in Peter's car, and an aperture similar to the window from which his shutter hung. I suppose I can now say, that's the way I heard it, and direct your attention to Tinseltown, where the man most responsible for creating the motion picture camera is honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But I can't, because, ironically, for Kate, a prototype with a shutter similar to the shutter that hung in Peter's car, and an aperture similar to the window from which his shutter hung. I suppose I can now say, that's the way I heard it, and direct your attention to Tinseltown, where the man most responsible for creating the motion picture camera is honored with a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. But I can't, because, ironically, or perhaps paradoxically, or better yet, unjustly, Peter's name isn't there. Nor is it in the halls of NASA, even though he invented the slide rule, a mathematical breakthrough that allowed us to get a man on the moon. Nor is it on the aquifers of London, even though he found a way to purify Britain's drinking water. Nor is his name on the facades of hospitals, even though he is primarily responsible for the development of general anesthesia. Nor is Peter's name on the cover of the Encyclopedia Britannica, even though his hundreds of scholarly papers on countless natural phenomena can be found therein. No less than 300,000 words, all written by Peter. Words that attempted to explain, he compulsively compiled to combat the depression that perpetually plagued him. Words of Britain's drinking water. Nor is his name on the facades of hospitals, even though he is primarily responsible for the development of general anesthesia. Nor is Peter's name on the cover of the Encyclopedia Britannica, even though his hundreds of scholarly papers on countless natural phenomena can be found therein. No less than 300,000 words, all written by Peter. Words that attempted to explain the chaos of an unpredictable world. Point is, we don't remember this prodigy, this polymath, this pansophic for his incredible list of accomplishments, nor for his contribution to the world's most famous encyclopedia. No, we remember him for his incredible list of words. Specifically, the list of words he compulsively compiled to combat the depression that perpetually plagued him. Words whose early assemblage began as a unique form of therapy, but whose ultimate congregation went on to become an eponymous compilation of rhetorical replacements, a compilation that went on to sell no less than 40 million copies over the next 2 centuries. I refer, of course, to that indispensable directory of dialectical determination of every term ever written, while helping millions of aspiring writers prove conclusively that alliteration almost always annoys. I'm talking about an unparalleled linguistic lineup of syntactical substitutes, a most crucial compendium of etymological options, assimilated to the proposition that no crossword puzzle should ever go unfinished. Call it what you will, the reverse dictionary wouldn't be on your bookshelf today. but for the grief-stricken uncle who died at your
Thesaurus.
house. Or, if you prefer the Latin, is thesaurus. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
Because when he said treasure house much thicker,
Yeah.
I thought the walls were thicker. No, the treasure house was writings. And I happen to know Roger's
Of aspiring writers prove conclusively that alliteration almost always annoys. I'm talking about an unparalleled linguistic lineup of syntactical substitutes, a most crucial compendium of etymological options, a singular source of all things synonymous, conceived in serendipity and dedicated to the proposition that no crossword puzzle should ever go unfinished. Call it what you will, the reverse dictionary wouldn't be on your bookshelf today or on your computer, but for the grief-stricken uncle who died searching for the right words, and his melancholy nephew never stopped collecting them. A remarkable collection that Peter Roger called his
Roger's
treasure
thesaurus.
house, or if you prefer the Latin, is thesaurus. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
Because when he said treasure house much thicker,
Yeah.
I thought the walls were thicker. No, the treasure house was writings. And I happen to know Roger's thesaurus.
I didn't know Rosie's.
Searching for the job. I'm a Houston, but I'm not from Houston. Also, my people don't take planes. We take trains. Call the Scene6.com
What?
named Farrah Fawcett. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
Wow.
Ain't that crazy?
Full disclosure, I still have that poster down in the garage somewhere,
Yeah.
rolled up, stowed away in a box with a bunch of other high school mementos. Yeah, maybe I'll walk down later and give it a gander. Farrah Fawcett, she made an impression. Just a quick reminder that The Way I Heard It book is now available for pre-order over at micro.com/book. Yeah, if you haven't heard, I took 35 of my favorite stories from this podcast and interspersed them with a memoir. So you get a little bit of
I had the Farrah
mystery
Fawcett poster.
and a little bit of memory.
Everybody
with the way
had the
I
Farrah
heard it.
Fawcett.
If you want to make sure you get a copy,
Girls
take
wanted to
advantage
be
of the
here and
pre-order.
guys
I don't know
wanted to
how
be
many
with her.
were printed. I know what happened. with my
And young
mom's
boys
book.
didn't know what to do with it if they had it.
It'll be on
But
the
they
shelf
still
in
want it.
October, but now is the time to reserve your copy over at micro.com/book. All right then, I'll talk to you next week.
Hey, look, there's
With
another RV.
23andMe's Health and Ancestry Service Kit, you can find out what your DNA says about your health, including your genetic likelihood for developing certain diseases. 23andMe just released their newest health report on type 2 diabetes, which tells you your genetic likelihood for whom the fall guy fell, as the aspiring actress who took. The woman checked into the resort alone. She arrived without reservations or luggage. She signed the guest book as Miss Neal and said she was visiting from Cape Town, South Africa, 8,500 miles to the south. The quarry called the Silent Pool. The windshield was cracked and the headlights were still on. Inside the car, police found a suitcase. Archie stood to inherit a great deal of money if his wife never returned. That was Archie's young secretary. A young secretary who turned out to be having an affair with Archie. A young secretary named, that's right, Miss Neal. Archie quickly admitted to the affair, but after prolonged questioning, insisted he had no knowledge regarding his missing wife. But what about his secretary? What might Miss Neal have to say to the detectives about the mysterious disappearance of the woman whose husband she loved? Clearly, this was a woman who needed to be interrogated. Only the Miss Neal they found was not only the Miss Neal they found was not Archie's mistress, nor was she Archie's secretary, nor was she from South Africa. This Miss Neal had no identification, no idea how she got to the hotel, and no idea why she had identified herself as Miss Neal. But even though this Miss Neal didn't know who she really was, I wandered in a dream, and then found myself in Harrogate as a well-contented and perfectly happy woman who believed she had just come from South Africa. The doctors said she had entered a fugue state brought on by stress. In such a condition, they said, a person could black out while remaining fully conscious. But when the story hit the papers, it begged more questions than answers. How could she have gone unrecognized for so long with an entire country looking for her? Clearly, she must have known about Archie's affair with the real Miss Neal. Was this disappearance an attempt to shame? Had a clue. Once home, Archie's soon-to-be ex-wife quickly regained herself. She divorced her husband, who immediately married his secretary, the real Miss Neal. Hoping to restart her life, she left her home, once again, by herself. This time, however, she left her car in the garage, opting instead for a train to Baghdad, an exotic trip that she would never forget. A trip where she found adventure, inspiration, and new love. Thus, when she died, at 85, the woman once at the center of England's largest manhunt was happily married, more famous than ever, and the best-selling author of all time. Funny though, of all the mysteries that surrounded this remarkable woman, the true tale, she refused to discuss the matter after returning from her trip to Baghdad.
But I thought the rest area was
in her
Tennessee
own
walking
autobiography,
station.
Right there,
there's
it
no
says
mention
0.3 of a
of
mile.
the incident. Her play.
First, we're close. Right. Look around.
No! Right there. Get down. Seriously, get down.
Mama walking across, you got that thump thump thump. She got that thump 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 like you see Mama. You do. You see Mama. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do. Come here. Come here. Come here. Yeah. I made myself a drink and I left my sunglasses on the damn stove. Shit, I'll get them. Just seriously.
Glasses. Do you need to put drops in? You're rubbing both your eyes while we're driving, so.
Actually, they actually feel pretty good. I mean, maybe I should put a drop in, you think?
Yep.
Just while we're stopped.
Yes.
It's in that bag of. It's over there. Okay. Alright.
Should I go check the temperatures in
Under the bed?
not under the bed, but in the back?
Well, hang on a second. Where's my big phone? We'll just look on the basement thing and I'll tell you.
Sure.
Oh shit. What the fuck?
What?
The truck.
What are you fucking thinking?
How the fuck am I getting out?
I don't know.
God damn it. Fucking truckers. I can't get it. There's no internet.
Okay. So he's gonna get out and go pee.
Yeah. Well, dude, you're like, oh, fucking lying.
Yeah.
Clear right.
Okay, sure. You say so.
Fucking idiot. Goddamn fucking nut. This fucking moron. I don't know how to clear this guy or not.
What about the car? Oh, it's fine. Whatever.
We're gonna find out here in a sec. Just that tire is the only thing I'm concerned about.
Okay, I still see curb.
Okay.
Still see curb.
We got it. We're clear. We're clear. Clear. Once again, Neil. Once again,
Can
Neil.
I finish your soda? Do you mind?
It's warm. It's not cold. I just.
Why didn't you get one out of the fridge?
Because I did. And I'm busy.
Alright.
I made ice in a tippet cup. I didn't want to take a cold.
Yeah. I'm putting it over here for you.
Okay.
Speed limit says 45.
I know. And Mr. Haberdashery here, swinging his fucking
Her
trailer left and
anthology
right.
of tantalizing whodunits.
Big sign back there, no
66.
trucks left lane.
Written by a heartbroken wife who found a fresh start on a train bound for Baghdad. A train called the Orient Express.
Good.
Such was the inspiration for a writer of mysteries, once known, very briefly, as Miss Neal. The woman we know today as a dame called Agatha Christie. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
Alright. Let's jump it down a notch. Pretty country stuff.
This is beautiful.
Here's a little did you know about pre-diabetes. Did you know that 1 in 3 adults in the United States has pre-diabetes, but 90% of those people don't know they have it? Well, it's true, and it's a serious problem for millions of people. Happily, 23andMe just released their newest health report on type 2 diabetes, which tells you your genetic likelihood for developing the disease. Here's a little did you know about pre-diabetes. Did you know that 1 in 3 adults in the United States has pre-diabetes, but 90% of those people don't know they have it? Well, it's true, and it's a serious problem for millions of people. Happily, 23andMe just released their newest health report on type 2 diabetes, which tells you your genetic likelihood for developing the disease. Nervous Kid at 23andme.com/Mike. That's the number 23andme.com/Mike. Again, that's 23andme.com/Mike. And this is what happened. George Underwood was 15 years old when he punched the handsome saxophone player. His motivation? An unforgivable display of skullduggery that could simply not be ignored. A completely unacceptable betrayal, made worse by the fact that the handsome saxophone player in question was George Underwood's best friend. Here's what happened. In the spring of 1962, George and his best friend were pupils at the Bromley Technical School of the Arts. They played together in a band you've never heard of, called George and the Dragons. The Dragons had real potential, though everyone agreed that George was the most likely member to find real fame. He had the looks for it, that's for sure. He was remarkably handsome and bursting with charisma. His personality leapt off the stage, and he could sing. His Elvis impersonation never failed to make the young girls swoon. Anyway, George had arranged for a date with Carol Gold, a maternity school girl he'd been eyeing all semester. But a few hours before they were supposed to meet down at the youth center, his saxophone player pulled him aside. Hey George, I just saw Carol Goldsmith down at the record store. She said to tell you she wouldn't be able to make it this evening. Between you and me, I think she's seeing someone else. George was disappointed, obviously, but he appreciated the heads up from his loyal bandmate. Future rock stars shouldn't be stood up in public by pretty schoolgirls. They had images to protect, after all. But in reality, it was Carol Goldsmith that I saw George earlier today, and he told me he had other plans tonight.
Oh,
Between you and me, I think he's seeing someone else.
nice.
Carol Goldsmith was disappointed, obviously, but she appreciated hearing the truth. She also appreciated the saxophone player's sympathetic gaze. Thank you for telling me, said Carol. You have pretty eyes. The saxophone player smiled. Well, thanks. Hey, you want to go get some ice cream? The next day at school, George learned of this treachery and reacted as any young man filled with testosterone and righteous indignation would. He confronted his traitor this evening. I saw George earlier today, and he told me he had other plans tonight.
Oh,
Between you and me, I think he's seeing someone else.
nice.
Carol Goldsmith was disappointed, obviously, but she appreciated hearing the truth. She also appreciated the saxophone player's sympathetic gaze. Thank you for telling me, said Carol. You have pretty eyes. The saxophone player smiled. Well, thanks. Hey, you want to go get some ice cream? The next day at school, George learned of this treachery and reacted as any young man filled with testosterone and righteous indignation would. He confronted his traitorous bandmate, confirmed the duplicity, and delivered a roundhouse, a mighty blow that left his best friend flat on his back. George Underwood's temper earned him the contempt of everyone at Bromley Tech, including his teachers, his best friend's parents, and Carol Goldsmith. Sucker punching the saxophone player had led to the demise of George and the Dragons as well. Why? Because with that one precipitous blow, George forever changed his best friend's appearance, and in the process, the appearance of countless magazine covers. The covers of Time, Esquire, GQ, People, Vanity Fair, and of course, Rolling Stone. But all that will come later. On that particular day, in 1962, George's saxophone player was rushed to the hospital, where he remained for several weeks as doctors tried to correct the damage George had inflicted. Fortunately, they did not succeed. The official diagnosis was anoscoria, and after 2 surgeries, doctors said the damage was irreversible. Guilt for the rest of his life. Black eye. Bells. Along the way, though, George shifted longer plays the saxophone, or anything else one gets. And all things considered, George had some pretty good cards. Today, you can see his artwork all over the world, and on the covers of more than a few albums. Albums from bands that you probably have heard of. Bands like T-Rex, Procol Harum, Mott the Hoople, and The Fix. But of course his most famous album covers are the ones he did for his old friend, who sadly no longer plays the saxophone, or for that matter. One each never gets saxophone player, the best friend whose face he had permanently altered. Judged. And so, when Mary found herself 3 months pregnant with the child of a married man, she turned to and then, the most devastating blow of all, the tragic drowning of her husband, the gifted poet. Authorities said the fish consumed most of his remains, but what they recovered, including his heart, was cremated, and the ashes given to Mary, who kept them in an envelope for the rest of her life. A rather morbid decision her mother neither criticized nor judged. Very often returned. Harriet's husband, the gifted poet, whose ashes would later become her constant companion. And so, Mary's mother was always there for her youngest daughter. Oh, It's True, The Way I Heard It is now a book. 35 of my favorite stories pulled from this book. To see the famous passenger embark upon a most unlikely journey. A journey 14 years in the making. A journey the experts said could net the invalid watch the passenger approach the vehicle, turn to those assembled, and begin to speak. He couldn't hear the words, but he knew what was being said. The passenger was thanking the people for their patience, thanking them for their support, thanking them for the honor of being the first to go where no man had gone before. When the passenger finished, the crowd applauded. The fireworks exploded. The band began to play. And then the passenger climbed into the vehicle, waved to the crowd, and rode into history. The invalid watched it all through the lens of his telescope and wept, because he knew, better than most, that the true price of progress was a hell of a lot more than $15 million. Maybe if his wife had been with him on that historic day, she could have brought the invalid some comfort. She'd been good at that over the years. Very good. Ever since his escape from that terrible financiers and a clutch of unscrupulous vendors, she lobbied for the money that made the journey possible. And somehow, she got it. $15 million for a journey that would cost no less than $3 billion today. Through his telescope, the invalid watched the passenger drive past the pier, the scene of the first calamity. Not the calamity that left him crippled, the one that left him in charge. A classic and a terrible grin. Today, we call it tetanus. Back then, they called it lockjaw. Call it what you will. It was one hell of a result. The invalid lowered his telescope and brushed away a tear. as the passenger rolled out of sight and into history. The original cost is long since forgotten. In fact, here in the 21st century, you can take the same trip for free because your toll has already been paid. Paid by the 27 men who were crushed, burned alive, torn in half, and hopelessly mangled in a series of gruesome workplace fatalities. Paid by hundreds of other men who lost their fingers and toes working on a job site that OSHA would have shut down on day one. Paid by the countless immigrants who labored for $2 a day in death traps called caissons. There, in those pressurized wooden coffins 60 feet below the surface, an army of forgotten men dug the footings by hand, building the mighty barbicans one stone at a time until the limestone tower in America. That's why she wasn't alongside her husband on that historic day in May, way back in 1883. On that day, she was proudly going where no man, a road that hovered in space 130 without her. Back then, they called it the eighth wonder of the world. Today, we call it the Brooklyn Bridge. Call it what you will. Getting it built, that took one hell of a toll. Anyway, that's the way I heard it.
And now you gotta pay a toll to go over. You can't do it for free.
Happily, 23andMe
It'll tell you
just
you might be
released their new
genetically
health
disposed
report
to
on
it.
type
It ain't gonna tell you if you got it.
which tells you your genetic likelihood for developing the disease and gives you personalized results and tools that could help with prevention. ndme.com/Mike. Again, that's 23andme.com/Mike. And this.
Mike, what is it?
Dang! Here's the bus.
George was horny. Sorry to be indelicate, but
Horny?
there's really no polite way to put it. He hadn't seen Elizabeth in weeks, and he missed his wife with the white-hot intensity of 1,000 suns. Excuse me, sir, but a letter has arrived. George leapt from his chair and ran to the doorway. Hand it over, my good man, with all due speed. Hurry, why? George locked the door behind him. Then, with trembling hands, he opened the envelope. The sender.
Dang! Here's the bus.
George was horny. Sorry to be indelicate, but
Horny?
there's really no polite way to put it. He hadn't seen Elizabeth in weeks, and he missed his wife with the white-hot intensity of 1,000 suns. Excuse me, sir, but a letter has arrived. George leapt from his chair and ran to the doorway. Hand it over, my good man, with all due speed. Hurry, why? George locked the door behind him. Then, with trembling hands, he opened the envelope. The sight of her handwriting quickened his pulse. The smell of her perfume wafted up from the parchment. He had a bleeding breathless. Gazette, and soon the entire country was reading all about Little John and the pleasures of riding tomboy. And the Gazette, and soon the entire country was reading all about Little John and the pleasures of riding tomboy. And that soft place upon someone's carpet in need of a gentle touch. One can only imagine how Elizabeth must have felt seeing her private words in public print. But she survived the scandal, and over time, people forgot all about it. Likewise, they forgot all about her husband's other crimes. Victor, who famously killed his own man. In the movie, George died with his boots on, fighting heroically right up to the bitter end. In real life, nobody knows. His body was found 3 days after the smoke cleared, naked, blackened, bloated, covered with flies. One of the first responders said a finger had been cut off and kept as a souvenir. Another said his eardrums had been pierced with a sewing needle, punishment for his failure to listen. Some said he appeared to be smiling in death, while others claimed an arrow had been, forgive me, forced into his rectum, pushed through his intestines and into his little John, leaving his corpse in a state of perpetual readiness, even as it putrefied under the blue Montana
George
sky.
Custer.
That's what I said, yeah.
Sorry to be
Sorry.
indelible. In spite of his unforgivable arrogance on the banks of a river called the Little Bighorn. Not exactly a happy ending for poor John. Really, no polite way to put it. Some of George's men were skinned alive. Others were dismembered and rearranged on the ground. President Grant called the entire debacle a completely unnecessary and totally avoidable slaughter made possible by the unforgivable hubris of a narcissistic warrior. And yet, the soldier who marched his men into that valley of death is remembered today as an enduring hero of the American West, thanks to a devoted wife who never stopped grieving, never stopped writing, and never stopped believing her horny husband was some kind of hero. In spite of his unforgivable arrogance on the banks of a river called the Little Bighorn. Not exactly a happy ending for poor John, but a far better legacy than he deserved, made possible by his blushing bride. It wasn't lost, activated, a fact that wasn't lost on the pretty girl with whom he was currently entwined. Across the street, a big cop, who wasn't really a cop, stood in the rain and watched the scene unfold. He had to admit, Lockwood was a smooth operator. Even dehydrated, sleep-deprived, and racked with a 103-degree fever, the guy was a master of the craft, calmly deploying the device while exiting the cab, deftly assisting the pretty girl out of the back seat, then whisking her up the steps like it was their honeymoon. Very convincing. For a minute there, it looked like she might invite him up, but of course, she didn't, because that plenty of time, but circumstances were far from normal. Really, a cop fell in behind him. When the time was right, he would announce the physical strength and mental concentration he possessed. With the clock ticking, Lockwood disentangled himself from the young woman who pretended to be his girlfriend, stepped out of the doorway, waved off the waiting cab, and strolled down the street like a man without a care in the world. Very smooth. The big cop, who wasn't really a cop, fell in behind him. When the time was right, he would intervene, but not until the wet work was finished. For now, he would remain out of sight, just the way they planned.
I know. Car.
Meanwhile, 2 blocks away, the man in the trench coat waited anxiously. He knew he shouldn't worry. Lockwood was a pro, but still, he was only human. And a fever that high could lead to basic mistakes, and everyone on the team knew it. What would he do if the device was still activated when he received it? The man in the trench coat couldn't help but wonder if maybe the whole mission should have been postponed. But of course, Lockwood wouldn't hear it last night. Because we're locked up. He wasn't really a cop. Right there on that flooded sidewalk in Studio City. If not, check it out on YouTube. The big cop, a look that says, "Mister, what in the hell are you doing out in weather like this?" At which point Lockwood pauses, deactivates the device, and says to the officer, "I'm dancing and singing in the rain."
Nice.
Just the way they planned. Technically, that's how the scene ends, but if you keep watching, you'll see the character called Don Lockwood flash his disarming smile one more time and walk slowly away from the cop who isn't really a cop. Then, as the shot widens, you'll see another character enter the frame. The man in the trench coat, walking with his head down against the pouring rain. Lockwood stops him and offers the stranger his seemingly unremarkable device in its deactivated state, just the way they rehearsed it. The man in the trench coat accepts that now famous umbrella, opens it, and walks out of the shot as the rain continues to fall, and we fade to black. Thus concludes one of the Mojer, his seemingly unremarkable device in its deactivated state. Just the way they rehearsed it. The man in the trench coat accepts that now famous umbrella artist who insisted on singing in the rain when he should have been recovering in the hospital from a 103-degree fever. A smooth operator called Gene Kelly.
Smooth
Anyway,
operator.
That's the way I hear it.
Alright, can you pause it? So, I have as our lunch break cabin. On there is a app called RV Travel. It's a webpage. You might be able to go to yours if you want to try yours. You can grab my cabin. On there is a app called RV Travel. It's a webpage. You might be able to go to yours if you want to try yours. We can try it. It's rvtravel.com, I think's the name of it.
Is it the trip?
Yeah.
Okay,
Trip.
well, I can get to it through my email.
Oh,
It's
okay.
easier because then I don't have to search and shit. So, sorry.
I was just curious if the web page was running, would it show us moving along or whatever? But whatever.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Just I don't know where the stop is because I put programming on here, so I have no idea how far away it is. I just I'm not hungry yet because I was snacking on peanuts. But it's one of those. I'm sure we'll eat lunch here in the next hour and a half. Paul Johnson, do you still have some? It show us moving along or whatever, but whatever.
Okay.
It doesn't matter. Just I don't know where the stop is because I put programming on here, so I have no idea how far away it is. I just I'm not hungry yet because I was snacking on peanuts. But it's one of those. I'm sure we'll eat lunch here in the next hour and a half. Paul Johnson, do you still have some?
Still have a motor today?
Yeah, why? Tell him, don't you know I'm driving to Oklahoma City today? Question mark. Remember I'm driving to KC today? It's my...
Do you still have a motor today?
Yeah, why? Tell him, don't you know I'm driving to Oklahoma City today? Question mark. Remember I'm driving to KC today? It's my travel as opposed to next Monday where I'll be working my adventure travel. I just gave up, don't want to work. But yeah, I still can't, still have the... But yeah, I still can't, still have the... why he texted this. I don't text and drive.
Don't you know I'm driving to OKC today, my travel day, but yes, ear infection slightly better, face still drooping.
And this is why he texted this. I don't text and drive. The family truckster is on the move. Look, Battle of the Vills. Severioville. Yeah, sure, whatever.
Don't you know I'm driving to OKC today, my travel day, but yes, ear infection slightly better, face still drooping, face still drooping. This is the wife. Because he doesn't text and drive anymore.
After that incident with Gary. While eating a hamburger. No, just he doesn't know who Gary is. The family truckster is on the move.
Now, long weekend, ha ha ha.
Yeah, it's an adventurous weekend. Yeah.
Took some. He's just checking in on you.
I appreciate you checking in. Makes me feel loved all over. Wow, that's crazy.
What?
There's something went off the road, like a big truck went off the road, slid into that thing, went right into that giant ditch back there. I mean, that was a
Okay,
day.
so I think it actually is
Trekking as we go. Yeah. That would be great. But whatever. Wow, that's crazy.
what?
There's something went off the road, like a big truck went off the road, slid into that thing, went right into that giant ditch back there. I mean, that was a
Okay,
day.
so I think it actually is
Trekking as we go. Yeah. That would be great. But whatever. Be nice if it did.
mile marker 446 westbound. Is that the stop?
For lunch.
Yeah, I'm trying to. Oh, I don't have the app, so it shows me your route.
Yeah.
But there's
Is it RV travel?
click here for RVTW demo.
Yeah. Be nice if it did.
Mile marker 446 westbound. Is that the stop? Well, click here for RVTW demo.
Yeah.
After the Farragut.
That's Farragut.
Yes.
Star Trek. Old Tennessee Distillery. Dollywood. Uber Gap.
It says Love's number 480 travel stop.
Okay. Welcome RVs, $295 diesel. Yeah, trying to make it easier. How was that? out all that bullshit, and it'll pull up the route, and then you're in it. Trying to make it easier. How was that? Exclamation mark, capital J, Jonathan 13.
Yeah, it doesn't give me the exit number.
Lenore C.
For 80, the board details is to put in comments. But yes, now that I'm logged.
Yeah, so look for logs when we get to Lenore's. Lenore?
Lenoir.
Okay. Lenoir. Can't be that one.
The thing is, give me the exit number. It just says Loves 480. The board details is to put in comments. But yes, now that I'm logged.
Yeah, so look for logs when we get to Lenore's. Lenore?
Lenoir.
Okay. Lenoir. Can't be that one.
The thing is,
Yeah. I'm sorry, I've used this thing statically to build it and everything, but I've never dynamically, while going down the road, to see what it does, if anything. I'm sorry, I've used this thing statically to build it and everything, but I've never dynamically, while going down the road, to see what it does, if anything. It costs like $35 a year to have it, but it has all these extra details where you can, do stuff. Apparently it's not that great.
Have more details?
69? What's that?
Nothing.
What'd you say?
And I wish it was my temperature.
Woo! Are you hot?
No, it's just stuffy. The air's going, it's fine. I'm just...
truckers work.
It does not appear to show us moving.
Colonel's Buffet. 398. Buses, RVs, and truckers work.
It does not appear to show us moving.
Okay.
Maybe it does. Maybe that is us.
Hey there. Our live view camera. Yeah, it's okay. Well, no, they're not fixed. They're still. I have to tweak something. The little arm's not right. We tested it this morning, and it's not right. So we gotta still fix it. It's alright. Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. He's going slower dirt. Apparently the refrigerator is slowing down his engine somehow. I don't know. Could very well be. Anyway. West, according to our plan, West Memphis truck stop in Arkansas. That's the plan. Here's Lazy Days. I didn't know there was a Lazy Days in Knoxville, Tennessee, but apparently there is one. Yeah. Oh, yes, I can. They're very proud of their service, yes. Yeah, the one up there by the Kilpatrick Turnpike. Yeah. Kilpatrick Turnpike. Yeah. No, that's a storage place. Waiting to be fixed. Really? Wow. I'm telling you, if you had the time and you had the expertise, you can make a fortune fixing RVs. I'm telling you, if I knew how they were all put together, I could make a fortune in RVs. I'm telling you, if I knew how they were all put together, I could make a fortune at it. I mean, there's no shortage of work, that's for sure. Man. No, you wouldn't? Nope. Well, guess not. That's genius. Yep.
Live view off.
Yeah. 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 Oh yeah. Go have breakfast at Jimmy's Egg. There you go. I know. Yeah. Is that how we get back? That sign says Lexington.
No.
We're driving wherever and we're at intersection of 75 and 40 and it says Lexington. I'm like, we just came from Lexington. That can't be right. We've been driving for like 3 hours. It's like, wait a minute. We did hit one spot in the mountains coming out of Asheville, climbing up, and the fastest the bus would go was 45 miles an hour. That was it. Yeah, it was just like, wow, okay. That's what I told City. That's why he went and got the 650 horsepower engine, because of that reason right there.
I think we need to check the settings.
What do you call it? I'm like, well, that ain't working.
Again, I posted.
If she doesn't.
I understand. So I found us on your map.
Oh, yeah?
We just passed 640.
Yeah.
We'll come around again.
So does it look like we're moving on that map?
No.
No, it's static.
Yes.
I was wondering about that. I'm like, I don't think it'll input. Saw that Texas Roadhouse is Turkey Creek, and all I can think is that travel plaza on the turnpike.
Yeah.
You know, Turkey Creek. So at that rest stop, I think there's a McDonald's at it. I think that's why I picked it, because I wasn't really a big fan of Chester's.
Sorry.
Just trying to air up and get it moving more, because it'll start getting hot in the back.
Yeah.
Just trying to move the air around. Still pretty countryside. Guns N' Roses, Def Leppard, and Leonard Skinner. The amount of figuring out how that door really shuts sure didn't keep the noise down. It's a much quieter ride. That gold ball over there was from an old World's Fair or something.
Okay.
I don't know. They did a World's Fair once in Knoxville. Hey,
I seem to remember, yes. Would there have been one in 72?
I don't know.
Please me if the World's Fairs were begun in answer to the British Empire exhibitions
Yeah. Alcoa Highway. Cherokee Health Systems. Nashville and Chattanooga. Join our team. Yeah, okay. One thing about it, and the more I think about it, if you could come up with a place to fix RVs, I mean, build it. You don't need a lot of money to build a big, tall garage door opening kind of thing. You could make a decent living owning a business fixing RVs. You have to have two things: customer service and honesty, and you will never run out of work. Just crazy. Yeah, everything.
Yeah, that's why everybody put their brakes on.
Yeah. There's a purple building up there.
You keep jerking your head. Do you want me to go get you the password?
Actually, oh look, there's a corporate headquarters, I guess.
Mine too.
That explains why there's literally 25 pilot flying J's in Knoxville. If you look on the map and zoom in, it's just littered. I'm like, my God, why is there so many? Now I know.
It's not a purple building. It's just not dressed yet.
It's still purple.
Well, yeah, but it's not dressed yet.
It's not dressed. Part of the facade. One big facade. Look at that truck go. There's a mall with a cheesecake factory. Good morning, George. How are you? The chocolate factory. Yeah.
Snyder's. Rick and Sally Snyder. Rick Snyder's the guy my dad talks about. Dated a girl all through college,
Yeah.
and then they went to Europe.
Oh yeah.
And they
yeah.
came back and got off the plane, and one went one way and the other went the other way. And I was like, no, not gonna, no.
Not happening.
Rick and Ann Snyder, I believe, were the witnesses at my parents' wedding. It wasn't really a wedding. It was, go get married in the pastor's office with another couple. I don't know why they just didn't do it at City Hall. Whatever. They got married on Christmas Eve. Anyway. seem to bother the rat at all. The rat seemed to like it, and he'd take the rat out and he'd go like that and slap the rat on his chest, and the rat would dig into his t-shirt.
Yeah.
I don't think he ever scratched or bit him.
Yeah, get over one. Really? No. Am I filling up your entire back window? I mean, I can. Truck passing on the right alongside.
Yeah.
Oak Ridge, where street lights are not needed. Hotel.
That makes you feel better?
Keeps all the skin loose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Penny's not happy you woke her up.
I'm sorry. Eat, drink, fuel, Wendy's. Wendy's would be good. I could eat at Wendy's. Wendy's, McDonald's. On the turbo.
What was that?
Me go,
Yeah, I know, but why?
I don't know. And however, I'm there to go.
Oh, now you get over?
Who? Mercedes? He's way up there. He's 2 cars ahead of that tractor trailer in the middle lane. See that guy just hitting his brakes? That's Mercedes slowing him down. 30 miles away. They can't get that lane open by then? Jim, I don't think that's what they were going for. Who's to know? I mean, really, who's to know? Truck had to get over there the way, rest stop. I did not. I am not impressed with you. Oh.
What are you doing?
It did dawn on me, yes.
In 1.5 miles, keep right to Miami West.
So what's my exit? Don't tell me 369.
No, it's not 369. You've still got a mile, but you need to slow down to get the other lane.
In the right lane.
Yeah, just like your little GPS over there is telling you.
Nashville, Kansas.
Continue on
That's way in Memphis. It's way 150 miles away. It's the only destination this thing has is where we're spending the night.
Sorry.
No. I tried to program it yesterday and I put everything in there and then didn't save any of it.
Did you name it?
Yeah. I named it this. Do better tonight. It's all blank. So they go, well, but about recent. Go to that plug in. They're not in recent. Well, then screw you. I got it.
This is just under 2 miles.
Yeah, they have Pilot, they have Flying J and Love's. And then Pilot, you have Chester's. And then Flying J, you have Denny's. Like, well, I'm not a real fan of either one of those, so.
Love's is right near McDonald's.
The McDonald's, I think, is in the Love's. Okay. Sorry?
Yes. You got a left, right?
I left. They have a Subway and a McDonald's right
North
inside.
to Tennessee 95.
Tennessee 95. It's Christopher walking here. Oh, we got the car.
In 1,000 feet, turn left.
The big post there was blocking the lights. I go to stop and I was like, oh, I have a green light. Remember, when we get there, we got to check the lights on the. Yes. Make sure the battery's still go straight.
Okay, now where that black truck is turning, that's
Yep.
where you're turning. Okay, this is trucks to go to the back and turn in.
All right.
It's lovely if there's a pull through.
Looks like there's several.
Okay, never open.
Looks like there's several.
Okay.
Right there, Mr. Speedco and Lowe's there. Right there where the car hauler is.
Oh my gosh,
Right there.
yes. I didn't see those.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, we got plenty.
Yay!
And this would be a good place to reset the car. All that
Right.
other stuff.
Right. Okay, so you want to turn on the microphone and I'll go check the lights?
Yep.
Do I need the keys? Well, you're going to need the keys, so.
Yeah, we're good. All right, we are in neutral. Penny, no, come here. Around this thing. I started the generator.
Okay, I was going to say, turn off the bus.
Yeah, I did. Started the generator. Maybe should be okay where she's at. If you want to go in and
That would be nice.
do that. Turn on the air.
Doesn't climb up on It's okay, it gets caught on your GPS and then eventually the weight drops it. Do I need to put the back shades down?
Oh no, it should be
Did you check the temperature?
And I See it? Get it done.
It's afraid of you.
I'm telling you. I'm like, what are you doing? And now, Penny, Mom, and I are going to walk over for lunch, and you stay here. Be good, okay? Like you understand that. What?
I have the car keys in my pocket in case you decide to go play with it. Do you want to run the car before we?
No, I'll do it.